and welcome to the third Tour de Tools. My name is Bart. I'm joined here by my co-host Gauthier. Little bit of history, because already third. The Tour de Tools came into life because both Gauthier and myself, we test tools, frameworks, these type of things on a weekly basis, and we liked discussing them. And so far we've seen two approaches. So either we test something ourselves, typically like we run to the Getting Started guide, and we try to discuss their merits. Not always easy by just looking at the Getting Started guide, but we do our best. And then the other approach that we have today, and also last time, is that we invite someone that actually knows the tool very well. And luckily today is such a day. But I'll leave the introduction to Gauthier.
Right. Hi everyone. So today we're welcoming Stephane. So Stephane worked around web infrastructure for the past 20 years, both in Europe and Canada. He actually wrote a book named Infrastructure as Code on Pact. So Infrastructure as Code cookbook, sorry. So make sure to check that out. He also co-founded a few companies over the years, and he's now the current CTO and IP co-founder of driftctl, or driftctl, or driftctl, let's see. It's an open source tool to detect, report, and manage drifts on your infrastructure as code. So on that super interesting topic, we'll probably leave the floor to Stephane if he wants to introduce himself further, if I missed anything, and then up for the presentation / demo, I guess.
Welcome, Stephane. Very happy
Cool.
that you're here.
Welcome. Thank you for having me and having driftctl or driftctl, indeed, drift control. We can maybe share the slides if you want. I have a couple of slides. This can be live this way, but I would love if you interrupt me if you have questions. I know it's a bit weird remotely, but I think you can ask questions on YouTube and everywhere else. So please interrupt me, and I'll be happy to answer questions live. It's not because there is slides that you won't do it.
Add comments to the YouTube stream, and both Gauthier and me are very good at interrupting, so we'll ask Stephane the question.
Cool. I like that. All right, this talk will be about, infrastructure drift, as the name mentions, infrastructure as code, more likely like Terraform, and DevSecOps, because it's mostly what our focus will be on. So the agenda, we'll share quickly what is infrastructure drift for those who are maybe unaware of the term. Something that we learned from our own users and our own use cases. But more fun, we will share some stories and live demos live on AWS and using directly Terraform and drift control. Gonna share my terminal, and we're all gonna drift together and see how things can go really wrong and how to fix them. So yeah, in the end, Q&A if you didn't dare to ask right in the middle of the demos, but yeah, please interrupt me. So this talk should be much more technical given the crowd that you are. So yeah, hopefully it's going to be fun for you. So for a bit of context, last year we were working on a different project. We were working like on a GitOps platform to support infrastructure as code and all the tooling, the best practices, etc. For people. And at some point, we had to ask for feedback users, our own users, to build the next features. And we asked a lot of people like DevOps guys, SREs, CTOs, etc., all around the world, and we asked them what were the main problems. And the main problem they reported was around infrastructure drift, the visibility of what was really living in their AWS accounts, cloud provider accounts, outside of Terraform. So that's for the context. And if you have only one thing to remember from this quick talk and demo, is that everybody is experiencing infrastructure drift. That drift can have major consequences, like security, but not only security, but security is a major pain in our jobs. We'll show that in this demo. And that's the reason why we built driftctl. So it's open source and it can help all the teams know what is actually running on their AWS accounts. So why is drift happening in the first place? There is three main reasons that we're going to dig later on this talk with the demos and the live coding session like we're going to do. So the three main reasons are that even the most advanced teams did not automate everything. So maybe you automated your whole AWS account using Terraform, but maybe GitHub wasn't automated and you missed something. That old coworker still kept accesses, etc. Or there is this new GCP project coming in and you don't know how to automate this GCP thing using Terraform. You're good at AWS, but not at GCP. Like this is my case with Azure, for example. And the second reason is around authenticated lambdas, microservices, scripts, etc. And they do things. So we'll share some stories in the second part. This is a major issue. And finally, people still have credentials. So people are like customers. So it's obvious that they need to have the keys to their own infrastructures. It can be your special coworker. It can be your boss. People still have credentials and they tend to use them, unfortunately. And you will see on Monday morning what happened during the weekend. So yeah, everything has been said about me. So I'm Stephane Jourdan. I'm currently living here in Paris, but I've been quite all around, and including Brussels. I really loved your country, guys. It was fun years when I was in Brussels. So yeah, today I'm the happy co-founder of driftctl, like you said. So thank you for having us. So we had to come up with a definition for infrastructure drift. It's not necessarily obvious for everyone. And the definition we ended up with is that that's what is happening when the reality and the expectation don't match. So basically what it means, it's like something like this. So you have your AWS account, and with all the real resources, the actual thing running on the account, like VMs, service managed services, access rights, policies, anything. And there is on the other side what is correctly managed by Terraform. And so you expect a state to be the same on the other way, but there is a diff, and guess what? The diff is the drift. So that's why things can go really wrong. So this is an example of a full, yeah.
Already a small question, Stephane, as we said, interrupting. It's because
Sure.
you mentioned Terraform and you mentioned AWS, or do you also support other cloud providers and other infrastructure as code, let's say,
not yet,
but technologies? Yeah.
Not yet. It's on the roadmap. So for the cloud providers, we only support AWS and GitHub right now. Go upvote on the GitHub discussion for GCP or Azure or any other cloud provider you want. So it's really a community-based tool. So okay. Definitely, when we're going to start working on the new cloud provider, it's going to be the one with the most upvotes on GitHub discussion. So definitely, it's up to you, not up to me. And about Terraform versus Pulumi or CloudFormation, it's definitely on the roadmap, but not right now, okay. Because we want to fix first the issue that we discovered using Terraform and AWS, but we had a lot of feedback about team 1 using Terraform and team 2 using CloudFormation, and this CloudFormation is changing tags or doing whatever things on the same AWS account overnight, and problem ensues after that. So definitely that's something we want to tackle. Good question.
Yeah. So small break, like because apparently people can't hear me, or I don't know if it's us correctly.
Oh.
Like, guys, is this better? Can you hear us now? Can somebody say it in the chat?
I can hear correctly.
Yeah,
A bit low,
we
but
can hear ourselves correctly, but apparently there is maybe something wrong on the output.
On the YouTube stream, yes. Okay, but let's continue. I don't see anybody responding.
Sam just told me it's a very low
Okay.
voice. I don't know if we can.
yeah, it's quite low, but
Okay, good.
Maybe a question on well your previous slide you've shown, like expectations. Like it's already a good thing that this is managed by Terraform. Like, do you also consider drift? Like, if you do not have something as clear as declarative configuration as Terraform. Like,
yeah, it to me.
Unfortunately, we still see a lot of like manual configuration of infrastructure.
Exactly. Yeah, this is definitely drift for me and for the tool, because it's not only things that are departing from what was actually configured by Terraform. It's something that is living in the dark. It's in the corner and it can bite you anytime. It is a drift to have a policy somewhere attached to something, and that can be abused by some attacker. It's a drift to have a virtual machine that should be handled by Terraform and not being handled by Terraform. So this is definitely a drift from what should be this infrastructure. So yeah, definitely manual changes. And in fact, it's even this slide, I think, manual changes are the main cause of drift. The CloudFormation stuff launched by anyone is a drift. Lambdas writing stuff here and there, or maybe a software bug somewhere is a drift. All the bash scripts, when you want to mass tag, I don't know, your backup disks, etc. This is drift, definitely, because it's not happening under control under Terraform. It cannot be analyzed by linters, security tools that can process the code. And so, yeah, definitely this is drift.
Okay.
All right. So next one, yeah. So yeah, as you mentioned, this is all drift. And basically, it could be no big deal. Maybe we could live with those drifts. Like, this is only a VM, we don't care. It's only a rule on a security group, we don't care. But I recently discovered that the NSA announced that major problems, major security issues come from misconfiguration. And as a lot of people are using more and more Terraform or infrastructure automation, drifting from this configuration and Terraform not seeing those things around itself, because Terraform, its scope is only what it knows, not what lies around Terraform. And definitely this misconfiguration, because it's a blind spot, this is a major issue. Like in the case of the NSA, it's about security vulnerability, and definitely we need to have parity between the code and the cloud provider, so you can analyze and definitely know what's actually running and not only what you think is running. So yeah. How can you know about misconfiguration if you don't even know about existing resources? Because yeah, it's so easy to know about the few hundred resources you have on Terraform, but maybe you have thousands of other resources actually running on your AWS account. So
which probably is a reality for a lot of companies, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I was the first victim of this. And yeah. And definitely the small, the quick stories I'm going to share right now are some of those stories are the ones that I personally lived. And so this is the live demo part. I skipped all the blah blah previously, because it's more fun to to play with the terminal. So basically, this is on the slide. This is an IAM user declared on using Terraform. So if people don't know how Terraform works, this is a resource here. So it declares an IAM user. It declares a key, an access key. So it generates key to interact with the API. And this is a policy. A policy, it's a managed policy, read-only access. So in the end, what does it mean? It means that this user, microservice user, has an access key allowing this user to only access AWS read-only. So that's not much, not less.
Yeah, quick question about
Sure.
support. Because so here I see HCL, and I also know Terraform released so CDKs, so basically to support other languages like Python.
Yeah.
Can you also if we talk about Terraform, can you also do it using, for example, the CDK, the Python CDK? Or
yes,
do you only
as
support
long
HCL? Yeah.
No, in fact, excellent question, because we do not actually read code because code is intention, it's not reality. So we read the TF state. As long as you have a state, we can compare what's actually applied the last time successfully. And so we can compare, so we build a big map of what's expected to be running. And then we do the same on the AWS side. So we construct a big map as well. And the diff is the drift, basically.
Okay.
So yeah, and so for this example, basically, this was a Lambda, etc. And people, let me show you what happened. I'm sharing my screen. Is it working? Yeah, cool. And so this is the microservice. And so this is actually running on, it was deployed by Terraform. So we see here our read-only access policy. And if we do a terrible mess like deactivating the key that was provisioned by Terraform, create a new key here. So there is a new rogue key running on this AWS account, and we add a new permission like like administrative access. Cool, review, add permissions, we're good. So now we really have this Terraform IAM user with a key that is not managed by Terraform and a policy that has been added to it. And if I remove this one and share my terminal here, and if we go to here, if we Terraform apply, so Terraform apply, it could be expected that Terraform apply would detect the manual changes that we just did, like adding and removing keys and credentials and policies, but it's not the case. 0 added, 0 changed, 0 destroyed. It's just because it's not Terraform's fault. It's just that for AWS, it's new object. A new key is a new object, and Terraform cannot know about what is new. Terraform knows only about what's inside its scope. So in this case, how would driftctl help? So we have a scan function. We feed it all the TF states. So that was a question 2 minutes ago. Like, we don't read the code, we read the reality from the Terraform point of view. And basically we compare. So that would look like this. We have this nice ASCII animation enumerating all your resources. So we have 58 resources, and now we see the unmanaged resources. So as a user, now I would know that against my states, this user, this IAM user, has a new key, not handled by Terraform, and the very same user has an administrative access, and it's probably not what you want from a Lambda. So this is definitely a warning. And plus we add a few more interesting notions like a coverage. So you're probably used to code coverage notions from engineering. And we added this one to infrastructure. Yeah, definitely, and that's something I like to use in pull requests. So a pull request for Terraform should always increase the coverage, and so you cannot go down, etc. So that's the kind of informations you can get from the tool very easily.
And how do you achieve it? Like, do you exhaustively go through all the APIs to see?
Yeah,
what
good
resources
question.
there are? Or?
Yeah, for now it makes a lot of requests. In fact, like similar to Terraforms. But we are working on a new version that will make less requests, because we request each and every single description, on the API. So yeah, if you have a huge accounts like with thousands of resources, this will be a problem. So right now we are working on a different default way of running the tool. So by default, it's gonna only scan for resources. It will display just the resources, not the details. And if you want details on what has drifted, then you can request them, and then it will make the API calls only for those resources. So yeah, definitely right now the tool is a bit young, and we are using a lot of your API calls. Exactly.
Quick question on that. Like, so can you sub-select a part of services that you want to see drifting for? Can you
Yes.
say like, okay, like I'm only interested in IAM, for example, if we talk
exactly. Yeah, we can do this. I can show it right now. I even have a slide. Give me a second. It's this one. Yes. So yeah, definitely we have GMS path integration. And so it's very similar to, if you are used to the AWS CLI, it's the same manipulation language behind it. And so yeah, in this case, you can add -- filter and the type of the resource that you are only interested in. So in this case, let me find something. Yeah, it's this one. And in our case, let's say we are interested only in IAM access key. And this will scan for your
access keys only. Right.
Yes.
They see there
And now-
scanning resources. It's still scanned 58 resources. So it's still scanned the whole thing.
Yeah, it's still scanning the whole account, but it's only reporting you what you are interested in. That's definitely the same roadmap for not exhausting the API calls. Exactly. Definitely, we need to catch the request first and request only for what was asked. Yeah, definitely. You're right.
And yeah, another question that I have on this small report that we are having here. So, I mean, this is a nice output inside your terminal. Can you write this to disk to be able to easily manipulate it? And, for example, like as you said, send it back to a PR or
Yeah,
things like
yeah,
that? Or
definitely.
is this manipulations that you have to do yourself afterwards, some formatting and some...
No, well, we currently have a let me show this. Yeah, we have a JSON output.
Yeah.
So you can definitely do something like this. Let's do it, by the way.
And then you use JQ, right?
Yeah. So yeah, sorry. Yeah. And let's add. We said from TF state. We have IAM TF state, and we have what do we have? We have S3, I think, as well. Yeah. So no, this won't work. I missed a slash. All right. So in this definitely will write an output.json, and then you can pass whatever you want, or you can feed the output to I don't know, maybe another tool or thing like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and definitely something I do use is this very easily. So I can send this to some graphing, you can send this to Grafana or something like that. So it's quite useful to know how your coverage is going from time to time.
Yeah, and I think like you said, like CI/CD wise,
Yeah,
it's very
definitely.
interesting,
Yeah.
to evaluate whether or not there is whether or not to apply. This
Yeah,
kind of-
definitely.
we have a
And we
question
are
from,
also sure.
from NCLS. He asks, or she asks, what about dynamic resources? For example, EMR steps that are managed by Airflow instead of Terraform, or ECS tasks.
Yes, definitely they will be reported because as I said, we are comparing states with reality. So if you're auto-scaling something, or if you have anything that is not declared, not under control, definitely it will be reported.
Yeah.
Is it a good thing or not a good thing? I don't know. But in the spirit of the tool, definitely what's not under control needs to be under control. So if you think about security, let's say you have an auto-scaling group that went wrong and launched, I don't know, dozens of instances, you need to know about it. Definitely you have a Lambda going wild or being abused and creating a lot of stuff outside of its S3 bucket. Definitely you need to know about it. So yeah, it's maybe something that we could do by reading the code. And so if you're auto-scaling something, it has a range. So you can ignore maybe VMs as long as they are between 0 and 100, maybe something like that. But right now it's not. It's definitely not handled because we really think that everything should be visible and reported.
And is there, like, are you maybe on that? Are you maybe planning to add a feature where you could say, okay, like for this very specific resource like, can we ignore this? Because like I would guess if you have really a big account and it reports all the stuff, like it creates a lot of noise, and then you have to still filter out what's the actual issue and what's the kind of expected issue.
Yeah. We have two ways and two roadmaps actually for that. So only requesting what is interesting you. So definitely that was the previous question. And we also have not filters, but a drift ignore. And let me share how it looks like. So it's definitely based on things like git ignore.
Right. Makes sense.
And no, sorry, I'm wrong folder. And no, this is the git ignore. And yes, so that's all the resources that I'm ignoring for the runs, because definitely you have here all the AWS services. You cannot modify them. AWS is listing them anyway. And the version of driftctl that's going to be released tonight will create a new strict mode. By default, we will ignore all the roles that you cannot modify and that AWS is listing. So yeah, all those roles you cannot modify, they will be ignored by default. Mm-hmm. And the same for the access keys. Like even in the best of the world, we will have in the end one drift. It's the Terraform key, unless you created that key with another Terraform, but then it's inception, like this Terraform key, where does it come from? So in the end, yeah, we definitely need to have this this drift ignore file.
We have a question from Romain. It's an interesting one, and he asks, are you planning any import feature? For example, generating TF resource block based on the drift. And I think it's interesting because what you of course highlight is all the things that are not under control by something like Terraform. But can you also propose a pathway to bring these things under control?
Two answers. The first one is that we definitely plan. We realize that for new users, you launch the tool the first time and you have maybe hundreds of drifts, like all the things running on your AWS account. And even if it's the goal of the tool, it can be discouraging for you. Like, oh my God, I have hundreds of resources. It's terrible. So the first answer that we are about to provide is to put all those drifts, all those resources directly on the drift ignore. So it's not really solving the problem; it's just hiding them. But now you can start from clean, and you can add them to your add them to your backlog and write your Terraform, import them, etc. Second answer is
sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, I wanted to say like on kind of the same topic. I know there is a tool. I think it's called Terraformer, which enables
exactly.
you to, from something that is live, like an AWS infrastructure, create Terraform files. So I guess you could kind of use the both of them. Of course, it's not going to be built into drift control, but
yeah, definitely
the use of
Terraformer. Terraformer is built by a team, the former Waze team. It's now GCP, Google Cloud Platform in Tel Aviv. It for the users that do not know about the tool, it basically scans your AWS account and generates Terraform from it. So you say, take this VM and generate me working configuration, Terraform configuration file plus the TF state, and it works pretty well. It's a bit rough, but it works. So definitely, we are not in the business of doing again what Terraformer is doing, but definitely what you can do now, you have the IDs that the driftctl is giving you. So you can definitely pipe the output of driftctl to Terraformer if you want. Yeah. We have to write documentation or how-tos and on blog posts about how to do this, but definitely that's something you can do. And we will propose remediation, but much later on in the process. Right now, we want to solve the drift issue, but definitely resolving the issue by importing the code. But sometimes you don't want to import the change. Like the example that we had just a few minutes ago of an administrative policy being added to your Lambda, definitely you don't want that. So what could be cool is the code is generated, it creates a pull request, you have maybe Atlantis popping up, the pull request, adding a lot of checks, and maybe you have checkoff. If you know checkoff by Bridge Crew, it's definitely a major tool. It's reading your code and bringing you best practices. So it can report to you, well, this change is definitely not the one you want. Adding 0.0.0 to your security group, not sure. So definitely, all those tools can bring value at the beginning of your workflow or your pipeline, because they are reading the code and your intention. And definitely driftctl can add a lot of value for you at the end of the pipeline or at regular checks, like every hour or so. It can report to you something is going wrong. Maybe Bart added a bad policy to the Lambda, so everybody can know about it.
Blame.
It's a good blame.
No, but interesting. I think just like thinking about what we do from day to day, like we part of it is that we help our customers either migrate to the cloud or migrate an existing cloud environment to something that is IAC managed.
Yeah.
And in this migration roadmap, like something like this helps a lot, because you basically get, like you say, like a to-do list that you can add to your backlog, like all these things. Ideally, we should bring under control of IAC.
Yeah, definitely.
Or at least you have a view on it, and you can still decide whether or not there are good reasons not to bring it under control, but at least you have a view on it. It's not a blind spot anymore.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. You have. It's a reporting. It can be used as a reporting tool. Like first day on the job, what's running? You have your list. It's done, region by region. Now you can just write some code and fix all the issues. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because we interrupted you and we went from questions to questions. So I don't know if you want to keep on going with if you have some slides or if we just
Yeah, what can I show? Something fun? I don't know. I have many slides. I don't know. What can we show? Maybe this one is fun because it generally scares a lot of people. I don't know if you're aware of it, but even if you write all your security groups properly, and by properly I mean writing your rules and attaching them to your security group. There is two ways for our listeners, to write security groups. The first one is you build a security group, and inside of it you have your blocks, like ingress and egress blocks. And this one has a lot of positive things and a lot of problems as well. But the other way to do this is by creating rules separate and attaching them. So in this case, we only allow SSH from the local network. But what happened let me share this. Let's go to VPC. All my bandwidth is taken by StreamYard. And security groups. So we have our super secure security group here. Yep. So what's happening if we allow everything from anywhere, including IPv6, and call it data routes? So yeah, now the security group is fully open to the world, and definitely you did your GitOps job correctly, and you put Terraform in CI. So every 5 minutes you have Terraform apply. You have Terraform apply running every 5 minutes, so you're pretty sure that you're going to be notified if something is changing. But guess what? Rules are new objects as well. So yeah, zero added, zero change, zero destroy. When I discovered this personally, I was very pale. Like, oh my God, I was sure that all my rules were under control, but none were under control. So a tool like driftctl, let's remove the output. So a tool like driftctl would what? Oh yeah, that was my wrong folder. And in this case, after exhausting my API calls, yeah. So in this case, if driftctl was running on CI like every hour or so, I would have known that this security group has new rules, and they are definitely not under control in Terraform. So yeah, that's another example.
I have a quick question on something you just mentioned, because you said, okay, like, you're running this every 5 minutes, like.
Not 5 minutes.
But how do you what's your opinion on integrating driftctl in your pipeline? Because, for example, for infrastructure as code, usually what you do is you trigger this on a CI/CD base, so like code change equal, like it's going to be Terraform plan apply, right? But driftctl is something that needs to look at the live stuff. So would you just put this inside would you put this, for example, inside CI/CD plus with the schedule on top of it, or what's
I would
the recommended way to do this?
Yeah, I would do both. By default, I would only launch it like wholly. So at least every 59 minutes, you can know if something went wrong. So it's cheap. It's just cron. So I put it on the cron tab and get an email if something goes wrong. So it's the cheapest version of being aware of something going wild. But depending on your setup, I've seen setups with people being very picky about having a perfectly correct environment before doing anything on the pipeline. Mm-hmm. So before Terraform applying stuff, etc., they want to be sure that the code and the reality are the same. So that's one use case. But maybe your use case is very different. Maybe you have a lot of scripts after Terraform apply. So maybe your workflow is you Terraform apply, and then you have this specific script from the security guys, this specific script from the backup guys, etc. And you want to ensure that none of them, you don't have control over those scripts. And you want to ensure that none of them created havoc, a mess on your account. So maybe after this, you want to run driftctl, drift control. It really depends on your workflow, who you are, where you are, and who you work with as well.
That you're already providing a lot of templates and actions for the different CI/CD systems, right?
Yeah, definitely. You can go on docs.driftctl.com. We have GitHub Actions. We have Circle CI orbs. We have a lot of documentation, even for Jenkins. So yeah, so it's all there.
Yeah. Do you provide it as a Docker as well?
There is. Yeah, definitely there is an official Docker image, and it's even the recommended way to use drift control, because, well, it's all automatic, and you can very easily add the drift ignore file on top of it, because you just fork it from this Docker image, and then you add your own, and you are perfectly under control. So yeah, definitely that's the kind of things we do. Yesterday we were talking on the Discord. We have a community Discord, and people come here and chat with us. And yesterday we had someone from Toronto, and he wanted to run drift control from Fargate on AWS. And yeah, we don't have a template for Fargate, so yeah, the issue is open. We were gonna work on it. So yeah, definitely integrating drift control on CI at regular interval, or in your pipeline. Definitely, it's the way to go.
Basically, both of them. To answer the question, like you basically need to do both, right?
Yeah, at least running at a regular interval, like cron tab. But yeah, if you can integrate it in your workflow, if you are clean enough, yeah, definitely you will be happy to know if everything is okay at the end. So yeah, both.
But both make a lot of sense. So like if you add it to your pipeline in a pull request, like the coverage decrease or increase, it tells you a bit about, like, are you adhering to some best practice, or at least what is this PR doing for you? And the other thing, like in a scheduled way, in a cron job, like the example that you just shown, more security wise, like, is something happening that you're not expecting?
Yeah.
That's very
Yeah, definitely. Or you can pass. It's just a JSON structure, so you can have your own tools, your own checks. You can maybe get the structure and send it to your own, I don't know, your own Slack channel. Definitely.
Can you? I'm just a question I had, because we were previously saying, okay, like if you find something and you can pinpoint the resource specifically that is, let's say somebody added administrator rights, right? Admin rights. Should you use this basically to, for example, if we talk about AWS, to go in CloudTrail and see who did it, because maybe you need to educate that person a bit. Just tell her, like, please don't do this anymore. Like, because like there is always a technical problem, but like if the person keeps doing this every time she or he logs in, I mean, there is a kind of, let's say, people problem, like that you need to kind of help those guys understanding what they should or should not be doing. Like, do you integrate? So my question is, do you integrate with CloudTrail, or are you planning to, or is this again something that you more see as a downstream task of taking a JSON and then looking in CloudTrail?
No, it's a really good question, because we definitely are thinking about it, but we don't know exactly how to attack this subject, because definitely the next step after knowing that something went wrong is definitely to know why and who and when, and definitely that's the job for CloudTrail, X-Ray, etc. So yeah, integration is definitely on the roadmap, but how we're gonna do this, I'm not sure. Is it the role of this specific driftctl tool? Is it a second tool that would be only for that? Is it the tool? Is it something that needs to be, I don't know, on the web, like a SaaS platform? I don't know. We don't know how to do it. If you have use cases, please write them on the GitHub discussion or on Discord. Definitely, we want to hear about them. That's definitely what we want to build. But in this case, it's not obvious how to do it. But yeah, the next step is definitely to know why and who and when, because it can be, well, the examples we show previously, they can last a very long time. They can stay for weeks or months if nobody is checking them. So yeah, definitely. And the other causes include API changes from the cloud providers, defaults, like when you create your own. It's another. We'll do it quickly, but this one, if you rely on the defaults from Terraform, so you have a small resource like the AWS S3 bucket, you don't write all the, I don't know, maybe there is 100 switches possible, configuration possible. And if something changes on AWS, when you Terraform apply or Terraform refresh, the changes from AWS are just being downloaded and written inside your Terraform state. And you don't know about it unless you run driftctl. So yeah, that's the kind of things that also can change. Maybe it's nobody, but maybe it's not someone from your team. It's not a Russian attacker. Maybe it's just AWS changing a default. So yeah, that's the kind of thing that can happen too.
Right.
Yeah, cool. When did you? I looked a bit at the release history. Like you started this relatively recently, right?
Yeah. It's a new tool. The first version was for like Christmas last year, so December 2020, and we released one major version maybe every 2 or 3 weeks since then. So it's version 0.7 today. 0.8 will be a major rewrite of something under the hood. We took a shortcut at the beginning to ship the product very quickly. Namely, we were using a specific version of the Terraform provider for AWS. And so it was good to test if it was actually useful for people, but it's not good enough for longer usage, because you want to support all the AWS, all the version for the provider, sorry. And definitely version 0.8, which is about to be released maybe in 2 weeks, will solve this issue completely. So all the versions will be supported. So yeah, it's a very young tool, but already useful, I think. So give it a try.
And is because it's under the CloudSkiff organization? Like, is this the main focus of CloudSkiff, or do you do other things as well?
No, CloudSkiff is the name of the company. It's the name of the startup. We are 8 people in it right now working on this, and we are working only on this. It is definitely an open source company working on open source products, and driftctl will stay free and open source. It's Apache 2 license. Sure, at some point we will need to generate money, but we have support right now to solve a problem first, like HashiCorp did, like solve a problem first, and then we'll find a way to make money.
That's cool. Nice approach.
We're lucky enough to be in this area right now, definitely.
Cool. The Apache 2 license, what is the rationale behind it?
Well, we reviewed a lot of the tools that were in our ecosystem. We hesitated a lot with the MPL, the Mozilla public license as well. We didn't want
that Terraform has, right?
Yeah, that's the one from Terraform. Yeah. Honestly, I don't remember right now why exactly Apache 2, but I think it was around distribution, and if the tool right now needs to be included in other tools from other people, revendors, etc. Probably it was easiest with this license, but honestly, I don't remember why we choose Apache 2 over MPL.
Okay. Oh, interesting. And do you already, because like you're not in a 1.0 release, do you have customers that are using this in a production setting?
Yes, a lot of testers. We have more testers than production users, but we have production users. I'm not sure I can give the names because, well, it's only informal knowledge because, yeah, it's not a commercial product, but so we don't have any official relationship with those companies. But we have, major companies. I think a major telco in Belgium as well used the tool. They talked to us extensively on Discord, but I don't know if they still use it. But yeah, we have recurring usage showing definitely, and people are still daily downloading the tool and using it because. To be fully transparent, the only thing we collect is when you launch the tool, it checks for a new version. And when it checks for a new version, there is a Lambda on our side reporting the new version if there is a difference. So we can know when people launch the tool. That's the only thing we collect, that, oh, somebody launched the tool. But yeah, that's the only thing we do.
Is it essential
it's all
like
documented.
if you're in a very isolated environment where there's no outside network traffic possible? Like, can you still use it? Or will it fail because it can't...
I don't think you can if your environment is fully isolated, you can obviously remove the check. And there is a variable, so you can remove the check, but you still need to access AWS API to make drift control work. So, but yeah, definitely if you don't want this check to be done, and I will remove it on CI because it's useless to have a check every hour or so. I want to control the version what's running on my CI system. So yeah, definitely I will remove it. Yeah,
cool.
It's all documented on docs.driftctl.com.
I think also the interesting part of this is that like drift control is like it's very much a component, like, and it adds value, but if it would not work, like we're not in a 1.0 release, like it's not a major deal, right? Like if for some reason it breaks because we're not in a stable version, like it's just that you don't get your coverage, for example, or you don't get information about blind spots. But it's not that it's like if let's say my Terraform apply would no longer work, then I have a bigger issue, right?
Yeah.
So
well,
I mean, what I'm trying to say is like the uptake of this is relatively smooth. Like I don't think you need to worry too much about having a 1.0 release with something like with the setup that you currently have, because it adds value immediately without adding any clear risks, right?
Yeah, and on top of that, the tool really doesn't need any access rights to AWS accounts. So definitely on the documentation, you have a list policy, an IAM policy with the list resources, the list access rights, sorry. So the smallest read-only policy you need, just generate an access key for driftctl, a profile just for it. It doesn't need anything else than read only on a few resources. So yeah, the tool is really not as critical as Terraform can be, because Terraform by design needs administrative rights to create and destroy resources, and driftctl is only reporting them. So definitely not the same criticity.
All right.
Okay, really cool.
Really cool.
Gauthier, any questions?
No, I exhausted my question stack.
Something to add?
Well, join us on Discord, definitely. driftctl.com/d. It's gonna redirect you to Discord. We are there all the time, the whole team. If you have questions, if you want to collaborate, if you want to just chat with us, give us your opinion on how things should work. Definitely, this is a real community tool. So yeah, community is the most important thing we have today. So yeah, go to GitHub, discuss things on GitHub discussion, and chat with us on Discord. Definitely, that's what we need the most feedback.
Right. Okay. Thanks a lot, Stephane. It was a very interesting
Thank you.
presentation. Exciting tool. We'll make sure to add all the URLs and contact points to the description.
Cool.
And see you all next time.
Thank you.